Yeah, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to another rousing episode or edition, whatever you prefer, of the Birds Blast with 94 WIPs, the greatest talk radio station on the FM friggin' dial. 94 WIP. Kyle Quinn, what's up, my man?
Well, nothing good, Matt. Nothing good.
No, and we're going to get into the nothing good here. Of course. Kyle, 22-19 overtime loss. This is the latest in, do I say the C word? Latest in the collapse of 2025. We entered another realm on Monday Night Football. Jalen Hurts was seemingly cut loose to try to take some chances. First, I want to get your analysis on the offensive game plan before we get into the offensive execution.
Yeah.
Did you see a little bit more of an attempt to open things up by the Eagles offensively on Monday?
Oh, I mean, for sure. You saw them open things up over the middle of the field. I thought they even were a little bit more creative in the running game. Saquon got going a little bit. But I do think that you saw an Eagles offense that, or at least gave us answers or clarity for some of us who weren't really sure what was ailing the offense. Really, was it Kevin Batula? Was it Jalen Hurts? I think we got the answers to that in a resounding fashion on Monday night. But I think now it's 2 weeks in a row that you saw them sort of open the offense up a little bit. So just to answer your question on the scheme side, I did see a more open and complex offense Monday night.
And with an open offense, taking more chances, putting the ball more at risk when you go downfield, Jalen Hurts attempted 40 passes. I don't care what planet you're from. If your game plan or if your scheme is to allow Jalen Hurts to throw the ball 40 times in a game, you better expect what you got on Monday in terms of the turnovers. I mean, I'm not saying 5. Mm-hmm. 5's a little high, but
yeah,
it's not going to be perfect for anybody throwing the football. But Jalen took it to a different level of inconsistency and ineptitude with that opened up offense. Kyle, you're not going to be able to justify me 5 turnovers by one person, essentially, in this football game. Yeah, we can attribute maybe one, that Jalen Hurts interception was a little high.
Yeah.
I don't know. But, it's a lose-lose, win-win. Kyle, how do you, without a running game, mm-hmm. And you mentioned what we kind of got clarity on what the problem with the offense. The problem with the offense is Jalen Hurts. I mean, I don't know what the hell is wrong with saying that. It's not toxic.
Yeah.
It's not being negative. It's being real. It's seeing football for what it is. Kyle, with a lack of a run game and Jalen doing this, what hope did the Eagles offense have in 2025?
Well, probably. I mean, look, I guess the hope there is that with a 5 turnover performance by the quarterback, make no mistake about it, Jalen Hurts cost him the game. He was terrible. And I agree with you to the most part, like your assessment of him and the offense that he's capable of running. They did take a good team to overtime with 5 turnovers. So there is hope, right? Just in the fact that if they cut 2 of those out, yeah, it might be a different result. Now, still not, you don't ever go into a game and say 3 turnovers is fine. It's not fine. I do think 5 turnovers is a bit of an outlier. As much as I don't think Jalen's that good at running that type of offense, I don't expect to see a 5 turnover performance every single time that they start to do things like that. He had a really bad game, and he was, I think, the number one reason that the Eagles lost, and possibly the number one reason that they've lost the last few games. And the reason that the offense looks like it's going backwards, although we can debate that, because I know we're going to get into sort of how it should look with the Raiders. But we talked about this early in the season, where I'm okay with them taking more chances, and I'm okay with them turning it over once, maybe twice. Not 5 times.
No, really, times. Kyle, what the hell's wrong with you, man?
They're drawing the line at 5 times. I'd probably draw it at 2, but I do think if they ran that back against another team, and they probably will later in the season, then we don't get a 5 turnover performance. But make no mistake about it, that can't happen.
Well, you're right. We might not get a 5 turnover performance, but maybe we get that 1 turnover down in the red zone when we really need that points and we get the turnover. I get what you're saying with the outlier of 5. It is a number that's probably not going to be achieved again. I hope to God that's not what it's going to be, but It's a pick your poison type of situation. I agree. I think creativity and getting more open with the offense is what's hampered the Eagle offense all season. But I think, again, what we're seeing is the reason why they don't take chances with the football that much and why they're not as creative. Again, all this about Kevin Padula and terrible play calling. You mentioned it on the show a few weeks ago. He is still one of the top candidates right now to interview for a head coaching position in 2026. Is it because he's getting what he's getting out of Jalen Hurts with all the limitations that there are on the guy, and he's actually overachieving, and a lot of insiders in the NFL are seeing that.
Yeah.
Want that kind of guy developing their quarterback.
I think it's a sort of a similar situation with Kellen Moore, where I think the league looks at this and says to be able to get this product out of that quarterback and that offense is an impressive feat. Now, Kellen Moore, to his credit, realized that the idea was less Jalen, more Saquon, and that was when Saquon was really good. Patula doesn't necessarily have that luxury of Saquon. Now, I know nobody's happy here, but the rest of the league is saying, well, that's an 8-5 football team. So I think that's partly why Kevin Patullo is getting interviews. I don't think he's going to get hired. But I agree. And saying that, that Hurts is a problem with the offense is no less or more negative than saying Kevin Patullo is a problem with the offense. Somebody just wants somebody to blame. And to me and you, and I agree, we've been in lockstep with this all season, is that the offense that Jalen Hurts wants to run and that is best suited for him to run is probably one that's more conservative, less open, more to the sidelines, less over the middle of the field. But I don't have to accept that, and I don't accept that.
And that's a great point. And I don't want to put you on the spot. And I'm not going to, but I am going to address the elephant in the room, what happened yesterday. And I'm not going to use names. We all know the situation I'm referring to. It's not toxic. It's not toxic to criticize something that is not right. It's not. There was no, being negative and being disrespectful and all that. That's different than being critical and reporting on what you see in front of your eyes. This is Philadelphia. Maybe I'm from a dinosaur generation, but when I grew up in this town, what did Mike Schmidt say? The only place you can read about the thrill of victory and the agony of victory the next day. That's what we are. And I hope the hell we never stop. And for those that want to curtail that or censor that or stop that or cancel that, you got no place here, because I know my generation ain't gonna allow it. The people that are in front of me are not going to allow it. The younger generation, whatever, we're not going to listen to you, but it is not toxic. It is not negative. It's being real. It's what sets us apart from the other sports fan bases in this country, because we're not supposed to get all, they're 8-5. How can you talk about benching your starting quarterback? Because he's not playing well, and he hasn't played well since the run game disappeared. And honestly, the first 4 games of 2024 and all of 2023 to an extent was a preview of what we're dealing with right now. So again, call me negative if you want, but at least I'm seeing what my eyes are telling me, Kyle Quinn.
Yeah, well, the reality of it is they lost three straight games. So in my mind, there's no room really for pom-pom waving or for somebody to tell me everything's going to be okay. Like I see what's happening, right? There's not everything's not okay. And like I said, we're talking about like the babies here who just don't like it's not necessarily that you're being critical. It's who you're critical of, because they don't agree with who you're being critical of, or they don't agree with your criticism. And you know what? That's their problem.
No, absolutely. And being critical of somebody is not negative. It's being critical. It's constructive feedback. It's feedback from what we're seeing. Mm-hmm. Now, in all the talk about benching Jalen Hurts, and I thought he should have been benched in that game. I thought there was a point in that game that they should have just said, listen, we got to try. We're getting beat by a one-armed quarterback right now. We're getting beat by him. We're getting taken to a woodshed by a man who's got one functional hand. Mm-hmm. So we got to try to find a way to get the offense sort of lit up a little bit. There could have been a case to make the move there, but they didn't. And to talk about making a move against a team against the Raiders and starting Tanner McKee just to see, that is not out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah,
Jalen Hurts won the MVP, but he won the Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah.
All right? He is not an elite quarterback. He never has, Kyle.
No, I mean, I'm with you. And that was, I think, the first like actual time during that game where I was sitting there thinking, like, maybe you do put his ass on the bench. Obviously they didn't, and the dust has settled now. And I know that there was talk about it, and I was a part of it, where I was wondering, curious as what the offense might look like when you change up one of the variables. Now they're not going to do it against the Raiders. Probably the correct thing to do, right? You want to let him go out there against a bad opponent, stay the course, and see if you can get any improvements there. I will say, though, if it looks more of the same against that freaking team, against that garbage football team, then it's time for it to get serious.
Yeah, you better be careful. They'll run you out of town here if we start talking about that. All right, let's.
Dude, yeah, don't care. I mean, like you know what I do for work every day.
I do, and again, I texted you earlier in the week, and I wanted you to pass on to your counterpart there that I'm proud of him and not to stop doing what he's doing, because again, I may not agree with everything you say or what Joe says or what Hugh says or what anybody says, but I'm not going to rally against getting you thrown off the air because I don't agree with you. I mean, we still live in this country. This is the United States of America. We have a constitutional right to speak our mind.
Yeah, and then took an unnecessary shot at me, where, by the way, everybody else sees fit to drag me through the mud because of what I'm saying. And then to you, apparently, I'm not critical enough. I'm getting killed out here, Matt. I'm getting killed.
Well, Kyle, this is a safe space for you, man. You can come here anytime you want and be with it, however you want. Joe Hale says he thinks the Eagles win by 10. Joe, we're going to get into that here in a second. Well, let's finish. Let's put a bow on the Chargers. Hurts was 21 for 40 with 4 interceptions, to include the play that might go down as sort of the poster of the 2025 season, where Hurts committed 2 turnovers on the same play. I don't think anything like that has ever happened specifically like that in the NFL. I know Ken Stabler was involved in a play in 78 that had multiple turnovers in the same play, but Jalen Hurts. I mean, Kyle, you can't make that up, man. And when I'm watching this in real time, I'm like, is this really happening?
He made history. I think he was the first player to ever fumble twice in the same possession.
Absolutely, twice. Utterly amazing. And of course, he was accounted for 5 turnovers. Saquon Barkley, though, 20 carries for 122 yards, to include his first big run break touchdown of the season.
Yeah.
But if you take out those 52 yards, again, another pedestrian effort by Saquon.
Yeah, and I thought that it was a little bit better in terms of the creativity in the run game, and I did think he was popping a few for a good, there was some 5-10 yard chunks in there. And I know it's grasping at straws to try and look at some positive things from the offense in that game, considering the 5 turnovers and the how was the play otherwise, Mr. Lincoln or Miss Lincoln. But I did think that I saw at least a step in the right direction for the running game. But again, that we did sort of see something like that earlier in the season. So I'm not ready to say that it's going to continue to trend that way.
Let's turn our attention to Justin Herbert. The guy had one hand. He couldn't hold on to the football either. I think between the two teams, he had 6 turnovers in the first half of this game.
Yeah.
Utterly amazingly bad. But when it's all said and done with, you got to walk away from that game thinking, oh my God, now that's the kind of quarterback that I want. They were running RPOs in overtime, and at the end of the game, they're running design quarterback runs with a one-handed quarterback, Kyle Quinn.
Yeah, that was the cherry on top. I mean, he not only had the one hand, but the offensive line was horrible.
Oh my God, yeah, Eagles got to him 7 times.
We were in the backfield on every play. And I think the embarrassing part about it was, given the reports coming out recently about Hurts trying to limit the amount of times that he runs the football, he sure could have used his legs in that game. Justin Herbert's out there beating him at his own game. So just a full-on embarrassment.
Full-on embarrassment indeed. Herbert would be 12 for 26 with a touchdown and interception for 139 yards. And all in told, you had yourself a 22-19 Eagle loss in overtime. Let's talk the defense, though. And I really believe, as obviously, we got 3 games, Kyle, over the next 13 days. This is going to be an interesting stretch of football for this team. And it's not the greatest opponents of the world, but maybe you sprinkle in the Bills, but 3 games over the next 13 days. defense is hanging on by a thread right now. They're the ones keeping this season alive for this team. They're going out there. They're battling their asses off. 7 sacks tonight on Monday night against Justin Herbert. Jalen Phillips returned to action or got back in the stat sheet. The defense has forced 3 turnovers of our own. Out of all of this, I feel really bad about the defense, and I feel really bad about the effort, because if the offense was just working a little bit, we wouldn't be having any of these conversations.
Yeah, I'm with you, and that's sort of, and I don't know if we're going to get into this or not, but I think part of my reasoning, or my biggest reason for why I don't think this is going to get as out of hand as it did 2 years ago, was because, like, I guess when you go back to that year, they ended up being just a completely different team by the end of the season. They couldn't even beat the bad teams, right? The Cardinals ran up and down the field on them and beat them at home. The Giants kicked their ass with Tyrod Taylor. This team's not going to lose to the bad teams like that. Their defense is good enough to where it's going to hold a team like the Raiders down, probably the Commanders down, just enough for our offense to be able to do just enough. This is the same team that it's been all season long. It's the same team. They're just trying different things. So I do think in that, look, we can possibly come in here on, Thursday next week, and if we lose to the Raiders, then all bets are off, right? Like we're starting to talk about getting everybody the hell out of here and full on collapse 2023, all that stuff. But I don't view that happening just because of how good the defense is.
Well, I disagree. Not that I don't agree with how good the defense has been playing, which honestly, with all the losses that we had in the offseason from that side of the ball, and I thought, honestly, I thought Saquon was not going to be this bad, and I thought the Eagles' offense was going to be respectable. I thought the defense would struggle, but that obviously has not been the case. They've turned it around. I don't know if you can count that for coaching in the scheme that Fangio runs, or player personnel, maybe a combination, but I just think they're running out of gas, and I think they're running out of time. And as a man, as a person, as a human being, I'm going, come on, guys, man. I'm just got off the field, man. We just came off the field, and now we're going back. I think a lot of that might start creeping in sooner rather than later if something does not change on the offense. Another reason to sit Hurts for the unknown of Tanner McKee, to get potentially a fire lit somewhere to maybe motivate the defense too. Kyle, they got to start feeling that way. Don't you have to agree with that?
I mean, I'm sure they're feeling that way. Sure. But I don't. First of all, I'll put it out there right now. They're not going to lose to the Raiders. They're not going to.
I disagree.
Okay. I can't wait to hear your reasoning why. The Raiders are probably the worst, one of the worst football teams I've ever seen.
Terrible football team.
They have literally one good player. That performance against the Chargers, even with the 5 turnovers, would beat the Raiders, maybe by 10 points.
Yeah.
That's how bad they are. And I don't expect that exact performance against the Chargers again. They're going to beat the Raiders.
Okay. No, and listen, there's no reason why you shouldn't say that. On paper, it's a goddamn massacre. But, oh, by the way, our friend Bohemia9322 checking in from West Africa, man. Hey, good to see you again, brother. Appreciate you waking up early or staying up late, whatever it is out there. Welcome to the program. No, you're right. And let's move on, I guess. Let's continue on. Let's do the Birds Blast stat pack. Let's get into that. Let's get that out of the way. Eagles scored 6 points in the first half, 13 points in the second half, no points in overtime. They're getting a little bit more consistent now, Kyle. We're averaging 12.8 points in the first half and 9.3 points in the second half. So it's starting to balance out with how bad the offense is starting to play, because the points are starting to catch up to each other. So you got to get maybe there's some consistency there. 0 for 2 in the red zone, Kyle Quinn. 22 for 31 now on the year, a pitiful 70.9% effective inside that red zone. They're not getting in the red zone enough, and now they're not capitalizing enough.
Yeah, and you sort of saw that regression back to the mean coming. I know they were pretty close to like
100% at one point.
Yeah. I mean, so that was never going to continue. But yeah, definitely a big part of the reason why they lost that game.
Sorry, East Africa. I gotta get a map up here, man. I don't even know where I'm at. All right, so let alone I apologize. No disrespect. East Africa, Tanzania. There you go. I apologize. 6 penalties for 53 more yards. 97 penalties, and the march to 1,000 penalty yards continues. 718 penalty yards now for the season, averaging about 55.2. If I were a betting man, Kyle, I'm throwing money on them getting to 1,000 because it's starting to look like they're headed that way. And that would be a franchise first, by the way, if they achieve that. Yeah. They did force 3 turnovers on the game, 16 now for the season that they've forced, about a little bit over 1 a game. 5 turnovers committed, up to 13 turnovers on the season, 1 per game now. Up to this game, it wasn't really a problem. And then, of course, we had the 5 on Monday Night Football, and sort of maybe gets it a little bit more skewed, maybe not as accurate. Jalen Hurts was sacked 1 time for 9 yards. They got to Herbert 7 times for 55 yards in this game, and I think it was 14 hits they got. I mean, they were, as you mentioned, they were in the backfield.
Yeah.
Becton was lost out there, man. He looked terrible.
They killed him, and I'll tell you what. I think a guy who's going under the radar this season is Jalen Hunt. He's really turned into a player. That kid picked it up. Had a great game.
And the Eagles, for the 3rd time, 3 straight weeks now, 0 for 0 in 4th down conversions. They have not done it. They have not gone for it on 4th down in 3 weeks now. Yeah, and that could be. That's a sign of the offense not putting him in that position. Too many 3rd and longs, too many pre-snap penalties or penalties at that critical 2nd down mark. This is another interesting snapshot about how bad the offense has been.
Yeah, that's part of the being conservative and stuff on those long 3rd downs. By the way, they've completely abandoned the tush push.
Absolutely,
completely abandoned it.
Do you have any theories around that?
Well, I don't know. Maybe they're worried that more teams are seeing what the Bears did, or I don't necessarily have a theory. Maybe they're worried about the interior of the line being banged up and they don't think it's as effective. Maybe Jalen Hurts doesn't like to do it as much. I think if you listen to his comments in his press conferences when he's asked about the tush push, he doesn't sound like a guy who loves to play. So that could have a lot to do with it.
11 for 17 now on the season, another pitiful 64.7% effective when they do go for it on 4th down, completely dwarfing what was last season. I mean, the 4th down play was a staple play of the offense. I mean, they were a 4 down territory just about every drive. Kyle Quinn went with the Eagles in this game, 28-13. I took the Chargers 31-20. I get the dub. I am now I'm pulling myself back into relevance here. 5-8 now on the season. Kyle falls to 6-7. We both went with Herbert as our game MVP. Kyle went off the beaten path for the first time, taking the Eagles to win, but yet be an opposing player to win the game MVP. I'm going to give him that. But, Herbert, but Dicker the kicker? I mean, do we make a conversation for him? No.
You got to give it to the guy with one arm and taking 7 sacks and winning the game. The one time I do get the freaking MVP. The one time. Damn it. The
one time you get it, you went off the beaten path to get it. And that is a first. We have both achieved a first for this season. We finally got the game MVP right. We've now moved to 1-12 now on this season. So congratulations, Kyle. We broke the schneid in game 13. So all right. Damian says the Eagles are going to repeat. We believe in Hurts. Well, hey, you got to send some of that love to him because I guess he's big in East Africa.
Good luck with that, my friend.
It's not big here.
Not big here at all. Strong in Tanzania.
Love it. All right, let's flip the page because we do have ourselves a one of the unicorn 1:00 Sunday games as the Eagles will return to the hopefully friendly confines of Lincoln Financial Field, as they will face the Las Vegas Raiders in a game that Kyle has said. I mean, there's no real – I can't sit here and justify it rationally that the Eagles will lose, but I'm going to. I'm about to do it here in a few minutes. Let's get into let's talk what you think is going to happen before I start giving you the usual stuff. So what do you think is going to happen on Sunday?
So I'm like I said, I don't think there's any chance in the world the Eagles lose to the Raiders. Besides one, there's one path, I think, for the Raiders to win the game. That doesn't mean I think it's going to be pretty, or I think there's going to be an offensive breakout. First of all, the weather's going to suck, so they're not going to be high flying again. And Jalen Hurts doesn't typically play well in the cold weather, so probably going to be a pretty, another ugly game, where everyone feels disgusting and we're all going to want to take a shower after we beat the Raiders. If I could if I could recall back to 2017 when we clinched the #1 seed, the Raiders came to Philly, and Nick Foles looked horrendous. And
Christmas Day.
That game might have been like 16-10 or something.
Yeah.
That's about what I'm looking at here.
That was on a very cold Christmas Day night. I remember that game very well myself, Kyle.
Yep.
All right. The weather in Philadelphia for Sunday is right now the high, I believe, is 32, low 19. There's some chance of snow/rain winter mix in the area that might be hanging around the Delaware Valley for the weekend. So that could pose somewhat of a problem. I don't think it's going to be much of an issue for the game. Eagles are going to go with their traditional midnight green tops, white bottoms, and the Raiders are going with their white tops, silver bottoms in this contest. Injury report. Landon Dickerson and Landon Dickerson and Lane Johnson were no-shows again today or yesterday. I don't have today's. So they were no-shows both on Wednesday and Thursday as they're still dealing with their issues. Jalen Carter, of course, also a no-show, dealing with the shoulder problem. And Lane Johnson's backup, Fred Johnson, was a limited participant dealing with the ankle problem. Bond, Hughlett, and Williams were all full participants in practice for the Eagles. Kyle, I mean, yeah, with all the stuff that with all the real stuff involving Hurts, it ain't helping them out with this offensive line and the way they just can't seem to stay healthy.
Yeah. So Landon was back at practice today. I think in a limited capacity. Feels like he's going to play. And Fred Johnson said today that he's definitely going to play. Lane will be out another week. Carter, I don't know. Neither guy went on IR, so not expecting like prolonged absences there, but at least they will have those two guys on the O-line. For the Raiders, big news. Geno Smith has pretty much been ruled out, so it's going to be Kenny Pickett. He's going to get this opportunity to seek some revenge against his former team. Raheem Mostert yesterday did not participate in practice. Jamal Adams, Alec Bachman, Jeremy Chin, Max Crosby, Colton Miller, and Ian Thomas were all limited, and Michael Mayer, Jordan Meredith, and Dante Thornton Jr. were all full participants for the Raiders. Kenny Pickett has an opportunity here to shock the world instead of Geno Smith, and he knows this team, right, Kyle? I mean, he knows this. He knows the defense. Yeah. Doesn't necessarily. I'm reaching for stuff here, man. I know you are. I will say this. I think I would have preferred to see Geno Smith. He's horrible. Yeah. Yeah. Kenny's probably not, that much better, but Geno Smith, I think everyone would have felt a little bit more comfortable with him. So with that being said, Kyle, give me some key matchups to look for on Sunday. Then we'll get into our keys to victory. Yeah, I'm going to level with you here, Matt. There's really one. I got one key matchup. That's all I got for you. And it's the key matchup because this is the only chance that the Raiders have taking over this game and beating the Eagles. And that's Max Crosby versus Fred Johnson, who's banged up and a backup. And Max Crosby is one of the best edge rushers in football, who exclusively lines up on the left side, right where Fred Johnson's going to be. Yeah. So they can't let him wreck the game. That's Fred Johnson versus Max Crosby. That's the one. If you want me to throw another one in, I guess I'll give you Brock Bowers versus the linebackers. He's their best weapon on offense. But I don't really see him being able to take over the game in that way against our defense. It's really going to be if Max Crosby's in Hurts' lap all game, then we're in trouble. So Fred Johnson, Max Crosby. Now I wonder, do they send Fred Johnson help in this game? Do you think they're going to try to do that? I would assume you'll see Goddard lined up there a lot. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I agree. I got three, and I'm going to give them to you. My third key matchup is Eagles fans versus Eagles fans. There's a civil war breaking out here in Philadelphia over the past few weeks, and we've chosen sides, right? There's the homers that are not seeing reality, and then there's maybe guys like me, or maybe not me, but guys that are seeing reality. And there's a riff. I spoke about this last week. There's a lot more infighting going on inside the Eagle fan base, and it's an interesting thing to watch for me to see this going down the rest of the way. If we cannot keep it together as a fan base, Kyle Quinn. So I think there's a real thing going on here. Yeah, I don't think that's really anything new. I mean, they did just win the Super Bowl and all offseason. Everyone just argued about the team still the whole time. Um, these Eagles fans that I grew up with are always yelling and screaming about something.
Yes, we are.
So
that's part of what makes it so good.
Yeah.
My second key matchup is the Eagles versus the Raiders. The Raiders suck. I agree. There's nothing there's really nothing football that I can talk to pump up the Oakland or Jesus Christ, Las Vegas Raiders to win this football game. There's nothing, absolutely nothing. Eagles outmatched the Raiders in every aspect and every part of this game. So, but there's just nothing I can say. And then Nick Sirianni versus Jalen Hurts. Does Sirianni relent to the pressure if things get bad in front of the home crowd? And does he make a move at quarterback if things fall off the cliff against the Raiders, much like the 2023 Cardinal game, where the Cardinals, I think, were a 2 or 3 win team at that time and came in here and beat the Eagles 35-31. If something like that happens, well, maybe if they don't score 31, but if it's less than that and it's the same recipe, Kyle, does Sirianni have the balls to do that in front of the home crowd?
Yeah, well, it's going to strictly depend on how the quarterback's performing, but I think you're right in that. Make no mistake about it. If things are ugly, in terms of how they're playing against the Raiders, it's going to be disgusting in that building. I mean, it is going to be bad. So we'll see. And Nick Sirianni feels it. He hears it. He's yelled at fans before. And so, like I said, things definitely have the chance to go off the rails big time.
And what are your Eagles' keys to victory, Kyle Quinn? Are you doing one?
Yeah, no. I will give you 3. The first one is, for the love of God, help Fred Johnson. Max Crosby's a problem. Got to give him help. We talked about it. Line Goddard up out there, chip him, whatever you got to do. Don't leave him one-on-one against Max Crosby. That'll be trouble. Number 2, stay the course offensively. Stay the course.
What's the course? What do we do? What are we talking about?
Bear with me here.
Okay.
I don't want them to go back to the garbage conservative nonsense. I actually like the fact that they opened it up.
Okay.
Take the training wheels off, throw Hurts out of the nest, let him sink or let him swim. But they have to try and stay the course offensively. I mean, I thought other than the turnovers, like I said, I know how silly it sounds, the offense was moving the ball. That was what I wanted to see. Granted, I did not want to see 5 turnovers. Cut it down to 1. Throw a pick, Jalen. Fine. Keep going over the middle. Stay the course on offense. Do not go back to the conservative nonsense. That's how you're going to keep the Raiders in the game. And the last one is, don't keep the Raiders in the game by getting ridiculous penalties and turning the football over and playing sloppy, undisciplined football. Capitalize in the red zone. Just do the little things. Because when it's a team like the Raiders, the last thing you want to do is just let them hang around and give them a chance to do something in the fourth quarter when your defense does get tired, inevitably, right? So it's weird because the Raiders are terrible, and I don't expect that to happen. But that is always, whenever you're playing a bad team or a team you're a lot better than, or really any team, that's the last thing you want to do is shoot yourself in the foot and keep giving that other team opportunities.
Yeah, you're going to come down to another level, and it seems to be a problem with the Eagles. Well, I mean, I don't even know what the Eagles level is anymore because it's been the same MO with the offense week after week after week. It's not the last 3 weeks; it's the last 13. I mean, it's the same recipe with this offense. So, with that being said, my 3 keys Eagles victory is it's time to sit Hurts. It is. I shock the world. Come out and put Tanner McKee in and start him. No one's going to know. I mean, the scouting reports are not going to be done. Everyone's preparing for Jalen Hurts. Come on, Sirianni. You want to try to save the season? It's Tanner time. 16 needs to go in. My number 2 key to Eagles victory is the defense needs to keep trying to win these football games for us. 3 turnovers. I mean, they're up to 16 forced turnovers on the season. Not quite last year's clip right now, but they got to keep trying to win football games for this field. They got to continue to try to be opportunistic, punching balls out, jumping routes. They got to keep doing things like that to give the offense an opportunity and maybe steal some points for themselves along the way. And my number 1 key to Eagles victory is bench Jalen Hurts. All right, that is it. I'm going with 2 keys to Eagles victory that encompasses a quarterback change, Kyle Quinn.
I love it. It's very Philadelphian of you. Key to victory: bench this bomb.
That's it.
Bench
him.
this bomb. Put the
Bench him.
backup in.
Bench him. All right. Well, that being said, Kyle Quinn, give me a game score, a winner, a loser, a winner, and a game MVP. Let's see if we can get 2 in a row.
Yes. All right. I'm going to go 20-10. Eagles victory. They win. They don't cover. Again, everyone's taking a shower. I'll go, man. I'm going to go Nakobe Dean. Game MVP. We'll throw a wild card out there. He's going to be that little wrecking ball, blitzing up the middle and destroy Kenny Pickett all night. How about that? Maybe.
You know, it's funny, Kyle, when we talk about the dominance of or the fact that I shouldn't say dominance, but the fact that the Raiders stink. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you're predicting a 20-10 game.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just saying.
I'm not saying the Eagles are great.
Oh, right. Okay, good. I just want to establish that. Now, I also have 20-10, but I got the Raiders winning 20-10. And I got Brock Bowers as my game MVP. Kyle, I said this on my show earlier in the week. Eagles ain't going to win another football game. They're done. No, 6-8, or what is it, 8-9. We're going to finish the season 8-9. We're going to be out of the playoffs. The Cowboys are going to take this division.
No,
they don't deserve to win any more football games. Honestly.
Well, maybe not, but I mean, I guarantee there's zero chance that happens. They're going to.
No, I don't actually believe it's going to happen, but I think it should happen. Maybe that's what I'm saying. I think they should lose every single game they have left because they don't deserve it. And they got to prepare themselves for the upcoming draft. It starts Sunday. Getting that position inside that draft. Kyle, the Super Bowl ship has sailed, man.
I understand that.
So what are we playing for at this point?
I am focusing on just not letting it get to I'm focusing on not completely falling apart.
I understand what you're saying, but Kyle, to what extent are we saying if it's not Super Bowl, it's nothing with this team?
So
the expectations.
Let me give you a scenario.
Please.
They beat the Raiders. They beat Washington twice, who is a 3-win football team, by the way. You're 3-1 to finish the season. You win the division. You have a home playoff game. There's a little bit more optimism in the city.
Absolutely.
Maybe not from you, but from the team, from people who feel like maybe they've started to right the ship a little bit. And then, what if you win a home playoff game? Then all of a sudden you're just 2 wins away.
Okay.
That's why you do it. That's why you do it.
But Kyle,
I'm not telling you. Look, Matt. I'm not telling you that's what's going to happen.
I know.
I'm saying that's the reason that you do it. You don't just let it go to nothing.
But Kyle, again, I don't have to stick my face in the fan 75 times before I realize that hurts. No pun intended there. I didn't mean that. But Kyle, the ship has sailed. It was about birthing the Eagle dynasty. That ain't happening. There's no way. And I'll stake my life on it. There's no way this team is winning a Super Bowl this year.
Wow, that's so bold of you to say that a team is not going to win the Super Bowl when one does literally every year.
But Kyle, my point is we had an opportunity that fell into our laps to start and give the fans of this football team what they deserve, and that's football dominance.
I don't know what to tell you. Like, do you understand how rare that is? It's a hard thing to do.
But rarity is not what I'm talking about. The Eagles deserve it. The fans deserve it. I know it's rare, but we deserve it.
Of course we do. But like I understand there's a difference between what we deserve and what we're going to get. What we have to be realistic about. You just got to be realistic.
What?
So what do you want them to do? Be 8-9, go middle of the draft, and then what do you do? What do you do? You get another young player who, by the way, you don't even think the general manager is good anyway. So
no, I don't.
Okay. So then what? So what's the point? They're the second youngest team in football. So who cares about a stupid draft pick?
No, I didn't say they should tank. That's not what I said. I said that they ain't going to win. I don't think they're going to win.
Well, they're going to beat the Raiders.
They're good enough.
They're going to beat the Raiders. It's going to be okay.
We'll see. I can't, man. I swear to God, Kyle, if they don't, and I have to sit here with you next week.
I know. Trust me. You think I'm looking forward to doing that?
Bohemian says this is that's blasphemous. What? You got to be more specific. Eagles 31, Raiders 6.
Oh God,
they ain't scoring 31 points, man. Unless Tanner McKee comes in, then yes, there's a chance.
They're not even going to sniff 31 points.
No, they're not. But there is actually a argument to be made. Could the Eagle defense pitch a shutout?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course they could.
Yeah.
Raiders stink.
Yeah. As I feel the Eagles have a lot of talent, but don't the players who are leaders, but have they what? But
Don't
they
have
have
players who are leaders.
Yeah. Eagle Dynasty has arrived, brother.
No, that's not true.
It's not. And then Bruce Harper also says, could you say if you feel the Eagles have a true leader that is also a player? What do you come out on that? Who is the Eagles leader, Kyle Quinn?
Probably Saquon, Milata.
So you're saying probably do you feel confident? I mean,
well, it's hard for me to point out a leader of a team that's just lost 3 games in a row. Like, it feels facetious or weird to say this guy's a leader. Nobody's leading right now.
Do you think Jalen Hurts falls in that lead? I mean, would you consider him in the leadership? No, I don't.
Of course not.
No, I don't either.
What are we, nuts?
Yeah. All right, Kyle. There it is. Question of the week time. I had to pivot because of all the breaking news that occurred later in the week from this question. And I came up with a new one. But let me ask you this, Kyle Quinn. Is there ever going to be a time in Kyle Quinn's life that he will worry about what others think about his opinions?
No. How would I? I mean, I wouldn't do what I do if that was something that bothered me.
No.
I mean, when you do a 4-hour show every single day, you're bound to say a lot of stupid stuff and things that end up being wrong, incorrect, or that people make fun of you for. Everyone does it. They just don't have, they're just not out there as much as the things that I say are. That's okay. That's totally fine. These are, by the way, I mean, it's really in just one avenue, and that's like the social media space, who you don't really ever meet those people anyway. They're not real people. So I don't really worry about it, about what John 3698 with a monkey NFT profile picture is saying. Don't care.
Yeah, I agree. And I love you for it. Bring back Kelsey. Yeah, well, there we go. Why don't we stop there? Let's bring back Fletcher Cox. Let's just bring them all back, man. Chris Long is out there too. But for example, Ray Rice was a leader, but who could it be for the Eagles? As it is not Saquon. He's very Bruce Harper. That's a great question, and the fact that we're sitting here trying to debate who that leader is tells you a lot about this football team.
Well, yeah. First of all, I don't know where Ray Rice came from or why that's the comparison here. Saquon's not quiet though. I don't know if you ever listened to Mic'd Up or listen to him talk. He's very vocal.
Yeah,
he's the vocal guy. He's not quiet. Promise.
Yeah, and I don't know what that means. Like, what vocal on the field, like jumping around and throwing a tantrum. I mean, we don't know who's who on that team. I mean, I don't know these guys personally. I don't know.
I think I would say, I don't know if you've seen the video NFL Films put out of the Super Bowl and the mic'd up after every score. It's Saquon talking to all the guys saying, "Hey, 0-0 still 0-0." Second half it's still 0-0. New game, all that. That's Saquon.
I agree. Kyle, could you please share a link to your show so I could watch it? It's available on the Odyssey app. Just search 94.WIP, and then you can have unfurled access 24/7 to all the greatness on the best sports radio FM show in America. All right.
It's everywhere. It's the midday show with Hugh and Joe on WIP. So obviously it's on 94.1 on the radio. It's on the Odyssey app, and then every show's podcasted everywhere. So
you can even listen to it in Tanzania, Bohemian. Right. You should be listening to it out there. All right, Kyle, my man. Listen, brother, I had another great week of content. Love this stuff, man. This stuff keeps me young. I want to thank you for coming on the show. Give everybody at 94 WIP, the It's a Wrap Sports Network's very best, and we wish them continued success and continued speaking their mind and to put down all the oppressors. We'll talk next week, brother.
Will do, Matt. We are fighting a good fight, brother. Absolutely.
Kyle friggin' Quinn, my man. 94 WIP, thank you. And I know my friend, and you are number one. He is, man. Of course, we were talking about the comments of John Marks, who went after Joe Giglio. John Marks now, of course, put the Fanatic back with the Fanatic. Went after Joe Giglio on 94 WIP for making a claim that Jalen Hurts is a bottom 5 quarterback in the NFL, and said basically sort of equating what Giglio is doing and what the rest of them are doing at 94 WIP to professional wrestling. And then if you want to listen to the real stuff, you come over to the Fanatic. But even though John Marks at one time was a practitioner of the fake stuff over at 94 WIP for years until he quit because he wanted to spend time with his family. Now, you can believe that all you want. I think he quit because he didn't get the morning show, honestly. That's what I think. And now he shows back up on The Fanatic, trying to generate ratings for himself by starting a war with his opposite, the team, the people he's going head to head with. So you can bash somebody's takes all you want, but to try to censor them and to try to tell them that they're toxic because he disagrees with the majority of what people think about Jalen Hurts, that's third world stuff, man. That's commie crap. All right, we're not. That's not going to happen. And yeah. So that if you're not aware, Bruce Harper, that's what we were kind of talking about without giving any plugs to the Fanatic or John Marks. So that's what we were talking about. So 94 WIP, absolutely. Thank you for having that conversation on the air. It was good, and I learned a lot. Okay, awesome. Thank you, Bruce. I appreciate you too, man. I feel the Michigan coaches. Yeah, man. Listen, I ain't gonna sit here and tell you I ain't never been in that position. I was never married in that position, but maybe as I was a dating man, I might have had me a little side something. But yeah, I think all of us can somewhat relate a little bit to what's going on with that guy. I would never taken it to the level that he did, but boy, oh boy, man. Yeah, he's in a lot of trouble, man. A lot of trouble. I agree with you. Thank you, Bruce Harper. I appreciate it, man. That is below us, third world. It is. And you know what? And we're not going to stand for it here on the It's a Wrap. I know there's other outlets and other mediums out there that want to attack your character or attack what kind of a person you are because you disagree with something, because you're critical of something, or even if you're negative about something. That does not exist here at the It's a Wrap Sports Network. I don't have the same opinions as Al or Mike or any of the other guys that participate with this channel. I don't. They don't have the same opinions that I do. Well, guess what? It's the way it's supposed to be. I will never censor anybody. I will never tell anybody that they're wrong. I will never tell them that you're an idiot, that you're ridiculous. Now, those words won't come out of my mouth. I'll debate you. I'll put out my point, and at the end of the day, we'll walk away from it like men. I'm not going to try to cancel you. I'm not going to report you to the friggin' free speech Gestapo, which apparently now exists in this country. I'm never going to do that, and that'll never happen on this network. So this is a safe space for all. It truly is. I know other networks say that they are. They're not, because they have narratives and agendas that they're running down, right? And they put their stuff out in front of yours. They say they're not, but they are. But that doesn't happen here. So free speech reigns supreme at the It's a Wrap Sports Network. Long live 94 WIP. Long live Kyle Quinn. Long live Joe Giglio. And death to the commies, death to the socialists, death to the oppressors of freedom. And I said it. You can quote me on that. Yes, make sports shows great again. Absolutely. For Spaga. Oh, okay. All right, let's go into my final segment of the Birds Blast, which is Matty B's picks for this current week of NFL action. This show typically airs on Thursday, so I usually have the Thursday night game for you. It's going to sound weird, but it's not, because I went with Tampa not upset, but to beat Atlanta, and Tampa obviously lost. But let's go over these picks right now. I am taking the Raiders. I am taking the Las Vegas Raiders to beat the Philadelphia Eagles, not because I believe they will. And not because I believe that the Raiders are a better football team than the Eagles. Of course, I don't feel that way. But I don't think the Eagles deserve to win any more football games in 2025. The season is over. The expectations of this season, as Kyle said, it's not realistic to think it should be a dynasty. I humbly disagree. We deserve it. And we've sweated and we bled enough for that dynasty, and it was right there in our hands. And your GM, your coach, your team came up short. And yes, it's only week, 15, whatever. We still have time to pull this out of the fire. They haven't shown any signs of that for the first 13 games. I don't feel that they're going to show any signs coming up. So I'm done. I am done saying the Eagles will win. The Eagles will lose the rest of the season, every game, and finish 8-9. So I like the Raiders in that game. As I mentioned, I like Tampa Bay against Atlanta. That didn't work out. Give me Chicago over Cleveland, Baltimore over Cincinnati. KC avenges their dreadful season, man. Good God. Kansas City, 6-7. They're going to win out, and they're going to get into the playoffs. They will beat the Chargers and the one-armed man or one-handed man. Buffalo will beat New England in a really good matchup. Washington will beat the Giants. The Jets, or sorry, Jacksonville will beat the Jets and get to their 10th win of the season. Houston over Arizona. Denver will beat Green Bay. The Rams will beat the Lions in another really good game. Carolina over the Saints. Niners will beat the Titans. Seattle will beat Indy. And their quarterback carousel, old man Rivers. And then you got the Dallas-Minnesota Sunday night matchup. Give me Minnesota because I'll never pick the Cowboys to win anything. Miami-Pittsburgh on Monday. Give me Miami. And there you have my Week 15 picks in the National Football League. I feel you're right, but he is the coach of Michigan, so as lively is to live. No, listen, I'm not condoning what he did, and I'm not condoning any of it. I'm just telling you, I can relate. All right, I think we've all been there in one way or another. I'm not saying any of us have been there, like specifically what he did. And no, it's atrocious what he did. Obviously, his world was falling apart, and he acted out. Now, was it the side piece that ratted him out to Michigan? And to the wife, I'm sure there's a lot more to this story than we know right now. But how he reacted, of course, is terrible. But you play with fire, man, you're going to get burnt. That's eventually. So again, I'm not sitting here telling you I condone it. I could relate. I'm not condoning it. Make sports shows great again. I feel these are very important points that you're making about freedom of speech and expression. 100%. Bad season for football in general. Yeah. No, it's not been a bad season. You mean for the Eagles? It has. Absolutely been a bad season for the Eagles. It's been, as you mentioned, Bohemian, it's been in general. It's not, there's not really, you can't point to one part of this season in 2025 and say, you know what? Yeah, they played well for any kind of stretch of time. I mean, there's two games that I can kind of give them as wins, as solid wins. And that would have been against the Giants and the comeback against the Rams. Other than that, every single other game has been, they make a play here, they don't make a play there. It's been too close for a Super Bowl defending team. I feel the other person is probably yeah, exactly. Again, I'm sure there's a whole bunch of this story that we don't know. And again, I'm not condoning any of it, but I'm just telling you, I can relate. Actually, I feel they may not be bad, but they use bad judgment. Yeah. Now you might be right about that. But all right, so that's going to wrap me up. But let me remind everybody, we have a big night coming up here on the network. One show. We have cleared the runway. I'm actually supposed to be on Thursdays, but we had to switch to Friday. Next week we'll be back on Thursday. But tonight at 9, the runway is cleared for the world premiere of the Philly Friday Frenzy with Big Al Zafiri, making his return to the weekly radio or weekly talk show format, as he will launch his new show here on the It's a Rap Sports Network tonight at 9. Make sure you're there for that. Tomorrow we got some Clear the Ice post-game flyers and Canes. I got that. And then on Sunday we'll do it all over again with the Philly AM Sports, Eagles, Raiders post-game and flyers as they're doing home and home with the Hurricanes. Bad season for everyone. Pats are on top. How bad? No, listen to, you want to talk MVP. Drake May is your MVP. I definitely think he's your MVP. They've had a fantastic year. Mike Vrabel really showing how coaching can get it done. But I don't think I think it's been a very parody-like season. That's what it's been. But all right, so that's going to do it. Let me show you the pretty little graphic again tonight at 9. Make sure you're back for the Philly Friday Frenzy with Big Al Zafiri. Our boy Big Al, home where he's supposed to be here at this network with me. We're simpatico, me and him. Me and Al see things. No, I mean, I don't know if there's any two people on the face of the earth that see things more differently than me and him. But he's going to take you tonight and then every Friday after that until the end of time at 9 o'clock. So make sure you're back here for the Philly Friday Frenzy world premiere at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we'll get that rolling. I want to thank Kyle Quinn again for coming on, doing another Birds Blast. Me and Kyle have been doing this show in some way or another since the 2020 season. And I got a lot of respect for him. I don't agree with him a lot. I don't see a lot of the things he sees the same way, but that's not what this is about. I respect what he says. I respect his opinion. I disagree with it, but I would never, ever try to cancel or change his way of thinking, and nor should not anybody else. All right. And again, as I mentioned, that will never happen here on this network. So I just want to put that out to anybody who cares to know. Long live the toxicity of 94 WIP. Long live the toxicity of me. Long live the toxicity of anybody else who disagrees with the moral majority. Screw the moral majority. All right? Keep saying what you're saying. Keep doing what you're doing. Don't let the bastards win, because that's how they win, by shutting you up. Never shut up. Ever shut up. So I'm going to thank you guys for being here. Is Shedeur a franchise quarterback? On the right franchise, maybe. I don't think it's with Cleveland. Cleveland is a dumpster fire. Shedeur Sanders might be a franchise quarterback. What I could see happening with Sanders is he's gonna get thrown through the dryer and ringer with the Browns, leave free agency, or get traded at some point, go to another team, and it's got potentially somebody that can actually teach him how to be an NFL quarterback, and he could probably scrape out a career. But right now, to ask that question, the answer is no, he's not. But not saying that he can't be. Maybe like a Sam Darnold type situation where it takes him a little while and in the right situation and something's got to click. But Cleveland is not the place to go and learn how to be a quarterback, man. It's not. It absolutely isn't. Or media type or media hype. What's now? I don't think he is right now. I think he could potentially be one, but he's in the wrong place to be one. If that makes any sense. But I'm gonna sign off tonight, guys. So I want to thank you for being here. Please make sure you're tuned in for everything that we got coming up for the tonight and the rest of the weekend and every day and every week here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network. Until we talk again later, have a great weekend, and I'll speak to you. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow on the Flyers Clear the Ice post game, Flyers Hurricanes. Until then, take care.